Hello and welcome. My name is PMW. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to navigate tough time in life. With Valentine's Day approaching, I hope to lift your spirits if you needed some help. Stick around till the end because I included actionable steps you can take. You know, sometimes a little tweak can bring a big positive shift in our minds and lives. Have you ever noticed how when one thing goes wrong, your brain suddenly finds every other thing that's wrong in your life? You lose your job, and suddenly you're convinced you'll never find another one. A relationship ends, and you're certain you're unlovable. Your brain becomes a highlight reel of every failure, every mistake, every time you weren't enough. Here's the thing, your brain isn't broken. It's actually doing exactly what it evolved to do. But here's the better news. Science has proven that you can rewire it. Today, we're diving into the neuroscience of positive thinking when life is genuinely hard. Not toxic positivity, not pretending everything's fine, but actual science-backed strategies to retrain your brain, even when you're in your very rough patch in your life. Your brain has what neuroscientists call a negativity bias. This isn't some character flaw, it's evolution. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors who noticed the rustling in the bushes and thought predator survived longer than the ones who thought probably just the wind. Your brain learned that paying attention to threats kept you alive. But here's the problem. Your brain can't tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a critical email from your boss. It treats them the same way. Neurologically speaking, when you experience stress or negative thoughts, your brain activates the limbic system, particularly the amygdala, your fear center. This triggers a cascade of stress hormones, primarily cortisol. Research by Dr. Sonia Lupien shows that chronic stress and elevated cortisol levels actually change your brain structure. They can shrink the hippocampus, which is crucial for memory formation, and they reduce activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking, decision-making, and emotional regulation. It sounds scary, doesn't it? Don't worry, I will help you navigate, so stay with me till the end. So when life is hard, your brain literally becomes less capable of seeing solutions. It's like trying to navigate through fog with broken GPS. Think of your brain like a forest. The more you walk down a particular path, the clearer that path becomes. Every time you have a thought, you're strengthening neural pathways. When you repeatedly think, "I'm not good enough," or "this will never work out," you're literally building superhighways for those thoughts in your brain. Neuroscientist Dr. Richard Davidson found that sustained negative thoughts don't just feel bad. They physically restructure your brain, reinforcing neural pathways associated with stress, anxiety, and depression. The more you focus on negativity, the more synapses and neurons your brain creates to support that negative thought process. Your brain becomes optimized for pessimism, but, and this is crucial, those same neural pathways can be redirected. Your brain remains plastic, changeable, throughout your entire life. For decades, scientists believed that the brain was essentially fixed after childhood. That was the depressing consensus. The brain you have is the brain you're stuck with. Then came the revolution of neuroplasticity research. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout your life. This happens through two main processes. Structural neuroplasticity involves physical changes to your brain, new neural pathways forming, old ones strengthening or weakening, even the generation of new neurons. Functional neuroplasticity is when your brain shifts functions from one area to another, especially powerful in recovery from injury. Here's what this means for you. Every thought you think, every action you take, every experience you have is reshaping your brain. You are not stuck with the neural patterns you have today. When you engage in positive thinking, real, intentional, positive thinking, not denial, something remarkable happens in your brain. Research has shown that positive thoughts trigger the release of dopamine, often called the feel-good neurotransmitter. Dr. Wolfram Schultz's research demonstrated that dopamine plays a crucial role in reward-based learning. When you think positively, your brain's reward system activates, creating a reinforcing feedback loop. Your brain actually starts to associate positive thinking with pleasure, making it easier to sustain over time. But dopamine isn't working alone. Positive emotions also boost serotonin production, which regulates mood and trigger the release of endorphins, your brain's natural painkillers. Together, these neurochemicals don't just make you feel better, they magnify the effects of positive thinking and can actually help combat depression. Let me introduce you to the hero of this story, your prefrontal cortex. This region, located right behind your forehead, is the executive center of your brain. It's responsible for decision-making, planning, emotional regulation, and something called cognitive flexibility, your ability to adapt your thinking to new situations. Dr. Barbara Fredrickson's Broaden and Build theory shows that positive emotions, including those generated by positive thinking, literally broaden your cognitive scope. When you're in a positive state, your prefrontal cortex functions better. You become more creative, more flexible in your thinking, better at problem solving. Studies using brain imaging technology have revealed something fascinating. When people engage in positive thinking, there's heightened activity in the prefrontal cortex. This enhanced activity improves executive functions, making you actually better at handling the hard things life throws at you. Conversely, when you're stuck in negative thinking, chronic stress pulls metabolic energy away from your prefrontal cortex. The very part of your brain you need most to navigate difficulties becomes impaired. It's like your brain is saying, "You're under threat, so we're shutting down the higher thinking and going into survival mode." Here's something surprising. Negative thoughts don't just affect your mood center. Brain imaging studies have shown that negative thinking reduces activity in the cerebellum, a region that controls not just physical coordination and balance, but also your speed of thought and your ability to work effectively with others. So when life gets hard and you spiral into negative thinking, you're literally slowing down your brain's processing speed and making it harder to connect with the people who could help you. Now that you understand the neuroscience, let's talk about practical strategies to rewire your brain when life is genuinely difficult. There's a technique called the Maui habit, created by behavior scientist B.J. Fogg. It's deceptively simple. As soon as your feet hit the floor each morning, say, "It's going to be a great day." You might be thinking, "That's it? That's the big scientific solution?" Yes, and here's why it works. This tiny habit leverages something called experience-dependent neuroplasticity. Your brain forms new neural connections based on repeated experiences. By consistently starting your day with this positive statement, you're doing several things neurologically. First, you're activating your prefrontal cortex first thing in the morning, setting a tone of intentional thought rather than reactive thought. Second, you're triggering that dopamine response we talked about, creating a reward association with starting your day positively. Third, you're building a neural pathway that becomes stronger with each repetition. Remember those forest paths? You're clearing a new trail. The key is consistency. It might feel forced at first, especially when you're going through something hard, but repetition is how neuroplasticity works. Cognitive reframing is the practice of challenging negative thought patterns and replacing them with constructive alternatives. This isn't about lying to yourself, it's about accuracy. When life is hard, your brain makes sweeping generalizations. It catastrophizes. It overgeneralizes based on limited data. Cognitive reframing challenges these distortions. Here's an example. Negative thought. I always fail at new things. Reframed thought. Every challenge is a learning opportunity, and I improve with practice. Notice the reframe isn't, I never fail, or I'm perfect at everything. It's realistic but constructive. When you practice cognitive reframing, you're activating your prefrontal cortex to override the amygdala's fear response. You're strengthening neural pathways associated with problem solving rather than stress responses. The structure I recommend: 1. Notice the negative thought. 2. Question it. Is this absolutely true? What evidence contradicts it? 3. Reframe it with a more accurate, constructive perspective. 4. Feel the emotion shift. Your brain learns through repetition. Each time you reframe, you're weakening the old negative neural pathway and strengthening the new, more balanced one. I know, when life is hard, be grateful can feel dismissive. But hear me out on the neuroscience. Research shows that gratitude practice physically changes your brain by strengthening connections in the prefrontal cortex and boosting activity in brain regions associated with dopamine production. The key is making it specific and genuine. Your brain can detect bullshit, and generic gratitude lists won't create the same neural impact. Instead of, I'm grateful for my family, try, I'm grateful that my sister texted to check on me today. Even though I haven't been great at responding lately, it reminded me I'm not alone in this. That specificity activates episodic memory systems, creates emotional resonance, and strengthens the neural encoding of positive experiences. Even when life is genuinely hard, there are specific moments, specific people, specific small things that deserve acknowledgement. Finding them isn't toxic positivity, it's balanced perception, and it's rewiring your brain to notice positive data alongside the negative. Mindfulness expert Meta McGarvey defines mindfulness as single tasking, giving your undivided attention to the present moment. When life is hard, your brain wants to ruminate about the past or catastrophize about the future. Mindfulness brings you back to now. Neuroscientist Dr. Sarah Lazar's research has shown that mindfulness meditation leads to actual structural changes in the brain, particularly in areas associated with self-awareness, compassion, and emotional regulation. Practice this. When you notice yourself spiraling, which you will, because you're human and life is hard, pause. Take 3 deep breaths, then engage fully with whatever is directly in front of you in this moment. If you're washing dishes, feel the water temperature, notice the soap bubbles, hear the sound of the water. If you're walking, feel your feet making contact with the ground. This practice does something crucial. It interrupts the rumination loop that reinforces negative neural pathways. Each time you interrupt it, you're weakening that pathway. Each time you bring yourself to the present moment, you're strengthening your prefrontal cortex's ability to regulate your attention. Your brain has a fascinating limitation. It can't always distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones. Studies show that visualization, mentally imagining positive outcomes, activates the same neural circuits as actually experiencing success. This is why athletes use mental rehearsal before competitions. When life is hard, you can use this to your advantage. Spend 5 minutes visualizing yourself handling the difficulty with strength and grace. See yourself on the other side of this challenge, having made it through. This isn't wishful thinking, it's neural preparation. You're lighting up the same brain pathways you'll need when you actually navigate the challenge. You're building confidence at a neurological level. This one simple word, yet, can completely change your neural response to setbacks. Research on growth mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck has shown that how we frame our current limitations dramatically affects both our motivation and our actual ability to improve. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't handle this, I'm not strong enough, I don't know how to get through this, add yet. I can't handle this yet. I'm not strong enough yet. I don't know how to get through this yet. That one word shifts your brain from a fixed state to a growth state. It activates neural pathways associated with learning and adaptation, rather than defeat and helplessness. I need to be clear about something, though. Positive thinking is powerful, but it's not a cure-all. If you're dealing with clinical depression, anxiety disorders, trauma, or other mental health conditions, neuroplasticity and positive thinking can be part of your toolkit, but they shouldn't be your only tool. There's no shame in therapy, medication, or professional support. Sometimes the most positive thing you can do is ask for help. The neuroscience we've discussed today works best as part of a comprehensive approach to mental health that includes adequate sleep. Your brain consolidates new neural pathways during sleep. Regular exercise, which promotes neurogenesis, the creation of new neurons. Proper nutrition. Your brain needs fuel to build new connections. Social connection. Isolation strengthens negative neural patterns. Professional support when needed. Positive thinking, backed by neuroscience, is not about denying reality or suppressing valid emotions. It's not saying everything happens for a reason when something terrible occurs. It's not plastering on a fake smile and pretending you're fine when you're not. Real, neurologically effective positive thinking is acknowledging that something is hard while also believing you have the capacity to cope. Feeling your grief, anger, or fear fully while also actively looking for small steps forward. Recognizing negative patterns in your thinking while having compassion for yourself. Being realistic about challenges while refusing to catastrophize beyond what's actually happening. Your brain needs you to be honest. It also needs you to be kind. Those aren't contradictory, they're complementary. Remember that research about the cerebellum? Negative thinking impairs your ability to work well with others, exactly when you need connection most. Positive thinking, conversely, shifts your focus from me to we. It makes you more receptive to support and better able to maintain relationships during hard times. Build your support system before you're in crisis. Identify people who can hold space for both your struggles and your strength. Join communities, online or in person, of people who understand what you're going through. Consider working with a coach or therapist trained in neuroscience-based approaches. You don't have to rewire your brain alone. In fact, social connection itself promotes positive neuroplasticity. Here's what the research shows. Creating lasting changes in neural pathways takes time. You won't reframe one negative thought and suddenly be transformed. That's not how neuroplasticity works. Studies on brain changes from positive thinking practices show that significant structural changes typically require consistent practice over weeks or months. One study found that focusing on positive images instead of negative ones resulted in lasting changes in brain activity, but those changes were measured 6 months after the training began. 6 months. This isn't a quick fix. It's a fundamental restructuring of how your brain processes information. But here's the encouraging part. Every single time you practice positive thinking, you're making microscopic changes. Those changes accumulate. The neural pathway gets a tiny bit stronger. The old pathway gets a tiny bit weaker. You're not trying to flip a switch. You're redirecting a river, one stone at a time. Because these changes are gradual, it helps to track your progress. Keep a thought journal. When you notice yourself automatically reframing a negative thought, note it. These automatic reframes are evidence that new neural pathways are becoming default pathways. Notice your resilience recovering. Do hard things knock you down for 3 days instead of 3 weeks? That's your brain adapting. Pay attention to your sleep, energy levels, and physical health. Optimistic individuals have been shown to have lower blood pressure, stronger immune systems, and faster recovery from illness. These physical markers can indicate your mental work is paying off. Small, consistent practices compound over time. Starting your day with, "It's going to be a great day," that's 365 repetitions in a year. Reframing one negative thought per day, that's 365 new neural pathways being strengthened. A 2-minute gratitude practice daily, that's over 12 hours of focused positive neuroplasticity work in a year. These tiny practices seem insignificant in the moment, but they're how you build a fundamentally different brain, one that's wired for resilience, for balanced perception, for genuine hope even when life is hard. The ultimate goal of all this work is to make positive thinking more automatic. Right now, negative thinking is automatic for you. That's your default neural highway. Positive thinking requires effort and intention. But with consistent practice, the research shows that positive thinking can become your new automatic response. The neural pathways become so well established that your brain starts defaulting to balanced, constructive thinking rather than catastrophizing. You'll still have negative thoughts, you're human, and sometimes life genuinely is hard. But you'll catch them faster. You'll reframe them more easily. You'll bounce back more quickly. This is what neuroplasticity promises. Not perfection, but genuine change. Here's what I want you to remember. Your brain isn't working against you. That negativity bias that makes life feel harder, it's trying to protect you. Those stress responses that feel overwhelming, your brain is attempting to mobilize resources to help you survive. The problem isn't your brain, it's that your brain is using outdated software for modern problems. But unlike actual computers, you can rewrite your brain's code. Neuroplasticity means you have agency. You're not trapped in current patterns of thinking. I won't lie to you, rewiring your brain takes effort. Especially when life is hard, the last thing you might feel like doing is a gratitude practice or cognitive reframing. But the research is clear. People who consistently practice positive thinking have lower rates of depression and anxiety, higher emotional resilience, better physical health, and greater success in achieving their goals. You're not just trying to feel better in this moment. You're building a brain that will serve you better for the rest of your life. You don't have to implement everything we've discussed today. In fact, trying to do everything at once is a recipe for burnout. Pick one practice, just one. Maybe it's the morning anchor, "It's going to be a great day." Maybe it's catching one negative thought per day and reframing it. Maybe it's a 2-minute gratitude practice before bed. One practice, done consistently, is infinitely more powerful than 10 practices done sporadically. Start building that neural pathway today. Tomorrow, strengthen it a little more. Day after day, week after week, you'll be literally reshaping your brain. Life is hard. Your brain knows it. Your heart feels it. But you're not powerless. You have neuroplasticity on your side, the remarkable ability of your brain to change, adapt, and grow throughout your entire life. Every positive thought is a small act of revolution against the negativity bias. Every reframe is a stone redirecting that river. Every moment of mindfulness is strengthening your prefrontal cortex. You're not just thinking positively, you're building a better brain, and that brain will carry you through whatever comes next. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more neuroscience-based strategies for living better. Drop a comment below with which practice you're going to start with and commit to it. Your commitment might inspire someone else. Remember, your brain is plastic, your thoughts matter, and you have more power to shape your mental experience than you might have believed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, bye-bye.